Hi ladies, it's Bernina Club time again. It goes around extremely fast in my little world, probably just as fast in your world as well. Today I'm going to show you how to make the coolest bag, and it's made out of a beach towel. So instead of having to take your beach towel inside a bag, your bag becomes your beach towel. So I'm going to show you my first one that I made, and this is my little power bag. And it's very cool. I love the power fabric, all New Zealand of course. And to open up your beach bag, you simply undo your ties at the side, on both sides. You open it up. There is your bag. That is on the right side of your towel, and you turn it over. You go to the beach and you have your towel to lie on. So it's very, very, very cool. So I'm going to turn it around and show you. So here's your bag. So when you've finished your day at the beach, you simply fold your bag into thirds. 1/3 there, fold the other third inside, and then you roll it up, fold it up to put your two handles together. And you simply get your drawstring and you pull your bag in tight. So it's very, very cool and such an easy thing to make and quick. So you ladies can get all ready for this Christmas coming and make these for all the family members. At the moment it's a really good time to buy beach towels because they're all half price. So it's very, very cool. And now we have our bag. Now inside the bag, because you've got your towel in there, you've got a very, very good size. So when you put your wet togs in here, that wetness will not even come to the outside of the bag because you've got all your towels in there. So you've got about 3 layers of towel both sides, which is brilliant. Now, you could step this up a little bit, and if you wanted to, you could make a little bag and put your sunscreen and your sunglasses and your keys, and you could tie it onto here and it could pop inside your bag when you go to the beach. But it's a very, very neat little bag. And on the video I'm going to show you, I'll show you how to make a little toggle so you can put your bag together. But you definitely don't want to use Velcro because Velcro would ruin your towel. So we're going to put a toggle in here and a little tie, so I'll show you that. So I'm going to show you how to make this from scratch. Before I do that, I'll show you another couple that I've made. So this one here is my grey and black bag, and on this one I've used some really nice Grosgrain tape as my tie, and a beautiful braid that we sell here. And you'll notice when I come to show you, we actually stitch across through here, so this never ever gets pulled through from one end to the other. So imagine a child taking it to the beach and just yanking the whole cord through. So I've secured it in the center. Okay, so this one is quite a neat towel. You can pick up some very nice towels, and so that's what that bag looks like. Alright, so they're very, very, very quick and easy. And again, when you're finished for the day, you simply fold them up one way, fold them back. So you've got your third of your towel, and fold them together and pull your drawstrings. It's very, very simple. Or you'll get a child who'll just throw it at you for you to do it. So either way, I think they're a really, really nice gift, and a good gift for sending overseas as well, because quite often people will send a towel. Well, this is a much better idea because you've got a bag attached to it, and all ages I think would be wonderful. So as I have a 3-year-old grandson, I have made him one for his birthday, and because he's into superheroes, I've made him Spider-Man. So I'll show you that one. So this is it here. So here's my red towel, and when we go to decide what size our bag's going to be, we simply get our towel and we fold it into 3. So just on the wrong side, put the wrong size together and fold it into 3. And then what I do is I get 2 pins and I mark one pin here and one pin here, and then I know where my fabric needs to go. So I'm going to turn this one over and show you. This one's all done. So I have, on this particular fabric, I've used, on this particular towel, I've used Spider-Man, and I've used a Grosgrain ribbon for my ties and a Grosgrain ribbon for my casing. So it makes it very, very easy to pull up and down. And you'll notice again, I have stitched it through the center so that this will never be pulled out, and I've done it on both sides. And to finish it off, I've used a little toggle here, and I've just done a knot, or a double knot in some cases, and then on the very edge of here, to stop this from fraying, I've used a product called Fray check, which I'll show you as well. So I think he's going to love this, being 3 and swimming every single day because he lives in Australia where it's very, very hot. I'll just take those 2 pins out, or I may forget to. And then you can just pull up the cords and tie it off. So I always said when I had grandchildren, I was never going to be one of those grandparents that goes and buys plastic toys. I was always going to be a grandparent that made things, so the children are just going to get used to it, I think. They'll always have things that I've made. Alright, so that's Emerson's one. Tie that up, and there it is there. I won't be bothered putting a toggle on there, he won't need that, but I will on the adults ones. And this one here is a very, very bright teenagers one. Now what I've done different on this one, because my ladies do bully me from time to time, is I have put a braid on a braid. So I have got the Grosgrain ribbon, nice and wide, but before I've stitched it onto my towel, I've added another Grosgrain ribbon, so I've got a double Grosgrain ribbon. And then they thought it still needed more colour, believe it or not, and so I've done the running zigzag, which is the serpentine stitch, all the way along here, and it's also called the mending stitch. So now I'm going to show you how to make these, but this one's quite funky, isn't it? So lime green and the jandal fabric. So again, fold it up here, fold it up to there, and tie it up. Now you could change this if you like, and you could also put braid across the top, and so that's another option as well. There we are, nice and easy, good fun. And you could even put a waterproof fabric on the outside if you wanted. All mine are using 100% cotton fabric. You don't want anything too heavy, and it's lovely and light. But that's a very funky teenagers, and the one thing I have forgotten to do, one of these handles, I forgot to top stitch it. So I do need to top stitch that handle. But yeah, they're fun. Right, now I'm going to show you how to make them. I might just pop those down so I don't have too much bulk there. So I have marked my towel into thirds. So if you have a look here, I have marked it into thirds, and I've got my fabric, and all I've done is turned under the raw edges. I haven't overlocked it or anything. When you're going to be top stitching something on, you do not need to overlock all on the inside, because it's never going to fray out. It's cotton fabric, it'll be absolutely fine. So you just turn under the raw edges like this, and then just lay it all out so that where you've measured it from the hem to here, you've got it nice and straight across your towel. Now do remember that towels sometimes are not very square, and don't panic about it at all, because it's all getting gathered up. So don't worry too much, and don't be too fussy about it, because they're never ever very square. So then just pin on the edge, and yes ladies, I am actually going to pin. Now in the notes I tell you to do an 8 centimetre marking from the edge of your towel, and this is going to be your handle marking, where your handle's going to be put in. So I'm going to come across this side, and I'm going to mark 8 centimetres down from the edge of my fold. So this mark here is where my handle will go in. Alright, So I'm now just going to pin across the top here to show you. So your whole piece of fabric is pinned on top first before you do anything with the handles. Now you need to get 60 centimeters of fabric to make this, and out of the 60 centimeters of fabric, once you've cut this out, you will end up with plenty of fabric to do your handles. Now you're going to cut 2 handles, 10 centimeters by 60 centimeters, or 4 inches for you ladies that are in Imperial. And on the back, you're going to iron on an interfacing. Now this just keeps your handle nice and strong, and you can do your handles 2 ways. You can either put your handles together, sew it down, press your seams open and turn it through and top stitch it. But for this handle, because I was only working with the 2 colours, I am putting a braid through my handle, on top of my handle. So what I'm doing this time is I'm going to fold it once and press it, fold it twice and press it, and then run a braid through the middle. But what I need to make sure is my handle ends up the same size as the handle I've already made. So I'm going to measure my finished handle, and it is 4.7, and I'm going to make sure that I fold this the same width. This is a handle method I've shown you once before. Now what I was thinking was I may do a class just on handles, because there are so many different ways you can do handles, bag handles. So I'll just press this for you. So you just press half of it into the center, one side into the center, and then the second side you're going to make sure that it is the width that we've made the first handle. Now when you're doing this, when you're using good quality cottons, they press beautifully, so you don't have to worry, and you're simply just going to bring this one over so that it ends up the right width. Now this side is going to end up your correct side. This is going to be the right side, that's going to be the wrong side. Okay, so now I just get my little sewing gauge and I make sure that my handle is ending up the same size, 4.7. There we are, and then bring my sewing gauge along here. These sewing gauge are the most invaluable tool to have in your sewing room, or sewing space, as some of you may only have, not quite a sewing room. But whatever you've got, make good use of it and have the right tools for the job. And press that all the way down. And by ironing it before you sew it also, it holds it very, very nicely and firm. Okay, now down the center of here, I'm going to run my Grosgrain ribbon, and it's going to go right through the middle of that. Now what I can do, so I can get my sewing gauge, and I can place that on there and make sure that it is the same width both sides, 1.5 both sides, and it's going right down the middle. In my classes I use what's called my iometer, but when I'm showing you I had better do it properly. Okay, and then just pin that in place. Now you ladies know that quite often I will sew a fusible tape down there and I will fuse this on first. But this fabric really doesn't move, so I really don't need to do that on this particular handle. All right, so I'm going to put red thread on the top, which I've already got, and I'm going to have white thread in my bobbin because I'm working with my navy and white fabric. And to do this job perfectly, so I get a nice straight edge both sides, I'm going to use my number 10 edge stitch foot. Now this foot, if I show you, I'll come around here. This foot is the foot that has the whole center of the foot cut out. Alright, so this means I can edge stitch to the right and I can edge stitch to the left. Okay, so the number 10 foot. I love it, absolutely love it. So I'm going to put my needle position far left, as far as the machine will go, and I always top stitch on 3 length. So now I'm going to just pin this down here, and I'm just going to double check I've got it nice and even. It's pretty easy to put that in the center, but you know, you should always double check. And the beauty about Grosgrain ribbon is it does not fray, and it does not, the colour does not run. So that's really, really good. But on the ends of your Grosgrain ribbon, I still put the fray check on there, because maybe not this particular brand, but if you get a different brand that isn't this good firm one, it does fray. And if you're not sure, you're better to put the fray check on. Now, fray check comes in a bottle like this now. It's just got a new bottle. It's exactly the same product, and it's used to dab on anything that might fray. So in the winter it gets used a lot here because we're always making holes in our pantyhose, and we just pop a little bit of fray check on our pantyhose and they will last the whole season. It's amazing. Not that ours do, but they would. So the old bottles look like this, and this is what I've got, and they last for years. You do not need to keep in the fridge like you used to, because the screw lids are very, very airtight. They're very good. And if I was going to fray check this, I would simply just, oh, got a little bit of glue stuck there. I would simply just put it on the side and fray check it, and that's all I would do, and let that dry. Now this part of the braid is going to be my casing, and I've actually already fray checked that, and it goes hard like a rock. It's very, very good. It's nice and firm, and there's no way that's fraying, and you can't even see that I put fray check on. So it goes nice and firm. So it's very, very good for ribbons, for hair ties and things like that, but anything that might fray. And you don't actually have to worry. If you have a garment and it has a little bit of a fray check bit, put that on there, the fray check, and you don't even need to sew it up. It's brilliant. Right, so let's sew our braid on. So we're just going to put our needle position to the left, and we've got 3 lengths. And the other thing I do, ladies, is I put my needle stop down function on, so that every time I stop sewing, my needle goes down and I can rearrange my braid to make sure it's in the right place. And if your machine doesn't sound as quiet as mine, then give it a little oil. Amazing what a drink of oil does, just like us for water. So make sure you look after your machine. Okay, so whip down the center, and if you're not sure because you've forgotten to put a pin in the end, just come back and double check that braid. Make sure it's down the center. Now, because I've got the number 10 foot on, I can now just pull my work back and put my foot on this side and move my needle position far right, and I don't have to change feet because it's all there, and this foot can edge stitch both sides. Brilliant. Oops, and the vibration, I've just lost 2 feet on the ground. So sew down to the other end, and then I'm just going to cut off that piece of my braid. Actually, I'll trim that whole end off so it's nice and tidy. Even though it's going inside the towel, I will still trim that off. Come over here and just trim off my threads and my little tails. And then I'm just going to lay that on there and fray check this other end. So remembering, I don't really have to worry about it too much on this one, but why not do it anyway, just in case. So that's now fray checked. I fray check everything. It's wonderful, and it really lasts forever. Now, because I've already sewn a handle on, I need to make sure that they're both going to be the same length. So I'm just going to sit this on here like this, and I'm going to put a pin where it's going to go into my fabric, and I'm going to walk this around, so just by putting it together, and make sure that they end up the same length. Because normally I would be doing these at the same time, but this was done yesterday. So I just need to pin to make sure I don't put too much of the end of my braid, my handle, inside my towel. So there's my 2 markings, and that's how far I'm putting it inside my towel. So now I come over to here. If I bring this down, there's my first mark. So I'm going to slip, I'll just turn my pin around because it's in the wrong way. I'm just going to slip this inside. And I'm going to put my pin through there, and knowing that that will just get edge stitched perfectly in there. And then I'm going to get my sewing gauge and I'm going to measure, because I normally would have this measured, and I'm going to measure, because this one's already done, from here to here. I've already got a mark there, but I'll put a pin to show you, and that's where my other handle will end. So you're now just going to slip this one in at the same marking, so they're the same size. And another thing, make sure you haven't got your handle twisted when you put it in, so it's sitting nice and flat. Okay, and you do want to do the handles before you sew your casing on. So make sure you do your handles first, and you can sew this whole piece on in one action. Now remember I said I was going to put a little tag on to put a button or a toggle. I've put this on one side of my bag, and this side will have a button on it. Now to make that little toggle, I'm just going to go away for a second and get a bit of fabric. No, I'm not. I'm going to get it out of the rubbish bin. To make that little tag for my toggle, all I do is cut a piece of fabric about 1 inch wide and sew it together and turn it through. So just get your inch wide fabric, fold it in half. I can still leave my edge stitch foot on and put my needle position to the left, and sew straight down. It doesn't matter if I've got red thread on, because you're not going to see it. And I'm just going to put my stitch length down to 2 so it's nice and strong, and I just sew all the way down here, and then I will reverse it and I will turn it through with my loop turner. And that's sometimes how I do my handles as well. So here's my loop turner, so it's just a little bit of wire with a tiny little hook on the end. So when I put this through my fabric, and I have shown you this before, I hook my fabric, hook my fabric through here, and as you're pulling it down, you keep the tension on your loop turner, and you pull your fabric through. Quite often I will put it on here and I will pull it through like that, so I've got something to anchor it to. And there you have a loop. That's how easy it is. And they cost about $3.80 to buy. They're brilliant. So once I've made a loop, what I do then is I pull it all out and I actually press my seams. Just pull that end bit out. And I press my seams to the back. So with my iron, I just press my seams to the back. And then I have made my loop, like that. And so I pretend, I would then put that on in the center of this area and this area, and I would put in there and I would sew it all the way around. But I've already done it on that end. I don't need 2 loops. All right, so it's very, very simple. So if you want to put a button and a toggle on your bag, that's how you make your loop. Okay? Right, so back to this. So now I'm going to finish top stitching all the way around my bag. I'm going to top stitch down my handles, which are looking a little bit like I've left a pin inside, which I have. Luckily I saw that sticking out. We don't want to end up with a pin inside our bag. And make sure your handle's square. I could see that that wasn't quite square. So make sure your handle's nice and square. And I always go forward and reverse at my handle and at the other end to make it nice and strong. Okay, so now I'm going to put blue on top of my, I thought I was going to put blue on top of my bag, and I'm just going to go and have to find it. So just one moment, because it's fallen. Oops. My blue thread has run away. Okay, so maybe this one's going to have a different colour. Here's a blue. That will do the trick. I found blue thread. It's not the same one, but nobody will know. You can't see both sides of the bag at the same time. So it's just like being in my home sewing room. Things just disappear. So I'll put blue thread on top. and I'll leave white thread on my bobbin. All right. So I don't have to change my foot. I just use my edge stitch foot number 10, my needle position to the length, put my stitch length a little bit longer. Where's my thread gone? I've lost my thread, girls. Try that again. And you ladies with your bigger machines, you know that you do not pull your fabric back like that, your thread back like that. You can only do it on this little machine. Okay, now I don't think I want to waste all that thread because I don't think I've got a lot of thread left. So I'll just wind some of that back up because we shouldn't really waste that thread. Keep the thread companies in business, but not so good for your pocket. So I'll just move that and move that. And now I'm going to top stitch all the way down to here with my not so navy thread. It's like being on live television, can't make mistakes. So now I'm going to put my needle stop down on, make sure it is down, my stitch length, oops, go back out to 3. And forward and reverse because obviously I finished it, started in another class, and then top stitch all the way around. Needle stop down, taking the pins out as you go, and I have thread cord. Okay. Beautiful towels. Believe it or not, these towels are just from the warehouse. 2 for the price of 1. They sell very good quality towels. And so it's very, very handy when they're on special. So the Maison Dior is the one I use the most, but this one's called Elemis. I always cut the tags off. E-L-E-M-I-S, and they're a cotton bath towel. They're not actually a beach towel because the big beach towels would be too big for a bag. So they're actually called a bath towel, but they're plenty big enough for the beach. Okay, so top stitch all the way around, remembering to secure your handles and always looking at your thread to make sure you're not going to run out. That's it. And turn the corner, needle down, love it, absolutely love it. Like I say to all my ladies, if you haven't got needle stop down, upgrade your sewing machine because it's fantastic. So good. So I'm coming to my handle. Now when you come up to your handle, your machine's going to want to jam because you've got a bar that's going to be going straight ahead. You need to lift that bar gently up over your handle. So I'm just going to get my nail and lift that little bar that's in the center of my foot gently up over my handle so it doesn't jam up. So go forward and reverse because it will want to just keep sewing straight ahead. And when you get to the end of your handle, go forward and reverse as well to keep it nice and strong. Just in case you put a lot of weight in your bag, make the handles very strong. Okay, and the same when I come to my other one. I come up to my handle, and the edge stitch foot, the center of it, will want to push up against my handle. So I lift the center of my handle up, my foot up, and up over my handle, and away I go. And reverse at the handle and at the other end. And there you have your handles on your bag. Too easy. I love it when things are just all top stitched because it makes it so quick and easy. Right, now I'm going to show you how to make your casing. Just find where I started. I'll just pop it up here for you to see. Oops. So here is your bag, and here's your handles, both your handles in, and now your casing is going to go on this side. So you need to check, and it's always 1.5 that I use because that's just what I do. So I'm going to measure it, and it is 1.5, 1.5, yes it is, 1.5 from there. So I will place this 1.5 from the edge. So turn your end under, like so, and make sure it's 1.5 and pin it all the way down, and you're just going to top stitch down that both sides. So obviously I will put red thread, well there's my tail, I can see it. I will put red thread on my top of my machine and leave white on the bottom, and I'll top stitch this down both sides. So just checking your measurement or your iometer, whichever you'd like to use. It's all going to get gathered up, so don't be too particular about it. Don't spend hours trying to get it nice and straight. Remembering towels are not very square. It's not the easiest thing to work with, but don't be too fussy about it. So if you're one of these people that's really, really particular on being square, I'm not sure this is the thing for you, because you just have to do it as it turns out, because towels do move. Turn that bit under so it's nice and even at the other end. Pop a pin in, and then we're going to stitch down both sides. Now what we'll do is we'll probably have a little break now, and then when we come back I'm going to finish my towel bag, and then I'm going to show you how to do this after Christmas wonderful top that I've got on the model there. So I will see you soon.